your career. Okay, you and I go back a long time in New York, you and me. Lots of fun stories between us. But you were the HUD secretary for President Clinton. You were the attorney general, and then you became the governor. And you had, because I know this, you've had offers and bids and conversations with, you know, a multiverse of different industries and CEOs and et cetera. But you landed here in the cryptocurrency markets and digital technology and the blockchain. Tell me why.
Yeah. Let me begin with, if I might, first, I want to thank you, congratulate you on this conference and what you've done for this industry. You've done a beautiful job.
All right, you're the man. It's very sweet, but really goes out to my team, John Dorsey and his team.
Yes, I disagree with the nickname Mooch because you are anything but a mooch. You are a giver and a generous personality, and that's who you've been. And
that's because you're not eating with me enough. I would be mooching off your table.
Yeah, that's right. Except when you're eating. I was always excited about the crypto technology. If you remember 2014, New York State, I'm governor, New York State is the first state to put forth a full crypto regimen, regulations, et cetera.
Bit license, right?
Bit license, formed a new department, Department of Financial Services, ended banking and insurance department, said this is a new financial system, new technology, and you don't put new technology back in the box. So I was always excited by the technology. I wanted New York to lead. We did in the regulations. I wanted New York to get all those crypto companies coming to New York for the economy. So I was always excited, and still I'm excited about the technology. I believe it's going to revolutionize the industry. Even if it causes disruption and the industry pushes back, you're not going to defeat the efficiency of the technology. OKX, because first of all, it comes down to people, always. And I've worked with Star Su, who's the head of OKX, and he is a brilliant guy, especially brilliant at the technology, and I think the best technology wins. And OKX was reorganizing. It was an offshore company, was reorganizing to come onshore and become an American compliant company, legal compliance, KYC, AML, state-of-the-art everything, and I was excited by that, and that's why OKX. Also, what we don't talk enough about, crypto is a great economic empowerment vehicle for the 1.3 billion people who are still unbanked in this country. You know, we tend to focus on the high end. You still have 1.3 billion people on this country who don't have a basic bank account, right? And crypto technology can help hundreds of millions of people. So there's just a tremendous amount of good that can be done and will be done with this technology if deployed the right way.
So, I see you, and me as well, by the way, because of our life experience. We're more traditional people, but you saw this, but you went to a traditional finance company, or an exchange, I should say, the New York Stock Exchange, and ICE, and you created a joint venture between them and OKX. You're the chairman of this joint venture. Tell us about how that came about. Tell us about the business plan between the two parties, and tell us how that convergence, if you will, is going to be a big part of the future.
Yeah, well, I think that is very cool. And that's sort of the epitome of what we've been talking about, right? It's not going to be traditional finance versus crypto technology. It's going to be the corroboration. It's going to be the collaboration between the two. All right, New York Stock Exchange and OKX. OKX, 120 million people globally, I believe has the best technology on the globe and will have the best technology. And ICE, different ICE than ICE, Continental Exchange owns the New York Stock Exchange, best stock exchange on the globe, says the arrogant New Yorker. That partnership between OKX and ICE / New York Stock Exchange, I think says it all, right? We're going to bring that technology, and we're going to bring it together with the traditional financial institution, Jeff Sprecher, et cetera. And tokenized securities, Anthony, is to me, in many ways, the highest form of the tokenization, right? If you can sell American equities globally 24/7, trillions of dollars come into the US economy. I mean, it revolutionizes. You walk into the New York Stock Exchange with your smartphone, anywhere on the globe. That's what's exciting to me. And it's happening. We already started with this joint venture. We have oil perpetuals that are up. And we've only been operational like 2 months. So I am very excited. ICE, the stock exchange, they get that the train is moving and they have to move because it's moving fast. They need the technology, they need the global distribution. That's OKX. It's that marriage.
You know, people don't know this about you, Governor Cuomo, but I'm going to just share a few things. You
Not
held,
too much, not too much.
Okay, you held the line on taxes. You got a lot of pressure from the Assembly and from the State Senate to raise taxes. You said no, holding the line on taxes. You were a proponent of a tremendous amount of innovation in the state. You worked with Mayor Bloomberg in creating that technology hub for Cornell University.
Yep.
You were a champion of the local hospitals, not only in the city, but upstate New York. You worked with the police department to fortify the police and to increase security in the city. What was, when you were governor, the biggest challenge that you faced, and what's, in your mind, different today from the challenges that you were facing?
It's a good question. The biggest challenge I faced works on different levels. COVID was the single biggest challenge. No playbook, nobody had an idea. New York had it first and worst. That was the single biggest challenge. The political challenge was to bring rationality and functionality to an irrational legislative process, right? Which we did well. We had a Republican Senate, Democratic House, and I had to make that marriage every year. That was the biggest political challenge. The practical challenge, I was very aggressive in building. So new LaGuardia Airport, new Kosciuszko Bridge, new Mario Cuomo Bridge, which is the old Tappan Zee across the Hudson River. Did more capital construction than any governor in history. That was a challenge, new subway lines. And then towards the end, you had this growing left on the Democratic Party, extreme left, that where the ideology was just incompatible with functionality. You know, socialist, everything free.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right.
You know, it's nice in a storybook, but it doesn't work.
You know, I was with a mutual friend of ours this morning, Dick Grasso, the former president of the exchange. He said, you know, it's a hand up country, not a handout country. It's just an interesting thing. You know, it's a more moderate approach. So speaking of challenges, because you're good at identifying the challenges, what are the main challenges in this industry right now?
I would say you will see massive disruption. Everything is moving so fast, right? Crypto prediction markets, traditional finance is trying to figure it out. The disruption, it's moving fast. It's musical chairs. It's not enough chairs for everyone. You'll see industries fall out. I think the political challenge is going to be very difficult. The next 2 years are going to be very difficult. Not partisan politics, but I believe there's going to be a change of power in the House at least. And I was a cabinet secretary when I had a Congress from the other party. Mm-hmm. That is a hellacious relationship. And if you think we have gridlock now, you ain't seen nothing until if you have a Democratic House
Right.
with the Trump administration. You'll see impeachment, you'll see total political food fight. And we have a reputational challenge. You say crypto, there is still a reputational challenge. Anthony knows this, I did the Bill Maher show last weekend. Bill Maher, HBO, he has a talk show. Forget his politics, he's got a phenomenal audience, he's been around for decades. He says to me, former politicians, I'm interested in what former politicians go into. And he names one person, he went into the pot business. Another person went into the psychedelics business. And you went into the crypto business. Why would you go into that dirty business where it's all about drug smugglers and corrupt politicians making money with crypto companies? That's the question. That's the question. And then a person on the phone, on the show says, gives a quote and says, yeah, that's blood money. You know, crypto, forget the past. There is still a reputational problem with crypto that is reinforced. People don't really understand it.
Yeah, no question.
There's a scandal, there's a government corruption scandal, and it replays the tape, and it sets you right back. So that is still a major issue. When you say crypto, people still say, little sketchy. And the reason why that's a problem is ultimately you need trust. You need integrity. You're a financial institution. I have to trust who you are if I'm going to give you my money. And that's why this integrity reputational issue hurts so much. And that's why the scandals hurt so much.
Yeah, I mean, one of our other challenges, I would like the industry to collaborate more and compete. You know, we have to have healthy competition, of course, but I want us to, one of the reasons why I have a conference like this is to get everybody together, you know, and push forward. And that's a good segue into the clarity question. You've passed a lot of legislation, a lot of successful legislation in your career. Do you think clarity can pass in this current Congress? And what would your advice be to these people in terms of thinking about that legislation?
It can pass because it has to pass. Because we're already way behind. Remember, 2014, I put forth the first state set of regulations. It's 2014. We still don't have federal regulations. Set up the Department of Financial Services. Linda Lacewell is here, the former head of DFS, now General Counsel OKX. Clarity Act, because you have to know the rules of the game. If you want a company to comply, tell me the rules, right?
Right.
What's fair and what's foul? Europe gets 30 countries to agree on one regime. We can't get the Senate and the House to agree. So you'll see the rest of the world already beating us. That will continue. And that will hurt our innovation, our economy, that'll hurt our consumer. So it has to pass. The trap is this, it can pass if the collective we change our attitude. Don't get caught in this Republican-Democratic game. It's their fault. No, it's their fault. They don't want to pass it for political reasons. They don't want to pass it for, they want ethics, or they want this. What you have to say to legislators is, look, your job is to get it done. It's to get it done.
Right.
Not to give me reasons why you can't get it done and make excuses. Right now, they have it queued up as a food fight. And in a food fight, nothing happens.
Right.
And that's where we are now. And rather than saying, well, these people support it, these people are good. There's no good or bad. Make a deal. There is no piece of legislation that doesn't have issues in it. Every piece of legislation has issues. Their job is to compromise and get it done. There's no issue on this bill that can't be compromised. ethics can be compromised, it can all be compromised. They're playing politics. And don't let them con you and say it's the other guy. Say, if it doesn't pass, a pox on all your houses, because your job was to get it done. Last quick point, there's an asset that we haven't deployed, which are the crypto users. You take anyone's numbers, 10% of Americans, 20% of Americans, they should be mobilized. Campaign money is nice. You know what's better? Voters. You know what a politician notices? An email from a constituent.
Incoming calls.
Yes, and in crypto, you have them. You have a captive audience. Mobilize it.
Yeah.
But if we don't get it done, you'll then see the regulators come in. They will pass regulations. You'll have a Democratic Congress come in, question every one of those regulations, bring in every one of those regulatory heads, and if you think this is confusing, the next 2 years will be horrendous.
Yeah, and then it'll keep moving back and forth in the pendulum.
100%. And you'll never know what's fair and what's foul, and the lines will change.
So before we go, you think you'll have 7 weeks to go before the midterms. You think it'll pass?
I think it will pass if we change our attitude. We got caught up, the industry. I had too many people come up to me and say, the Democrats are the problem. Or Democrats saying the Republicans are the problem. They're both the problem. Because they don't want to make a deal because they don't feel like they have to make a deal. Right. Old expression, a legislator who does nothing wrong. Right. If they cannot pass a piece of legislation and come back and they have an excuse, they won't pass it. Because remember, they pass this, they annoy the whole traditional finance and all the banks, et cetera. So if this cup can pass from their lips, they will let it pass from their lips. And we have to stop pointing fingers and saying, just compromise and get it passed. And if they hear that, I think they'll change their attitude.
All right, let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you.
That's awesome.